Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitanjena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Hello and welcome to our Seeking the Essence podcast. Thanks for tuning in. And I'm very late, haven't posted anything in a while. It's summertime. Summer means festival season. And I've been going back and forth across the globe over these last couple months. We had beautiful festivals in USA, California, at our Soquel Seva Ashram near Santa Cruz, not too far from San Jose, San Francisco area. Then we had festivals in Hungary, here close to Budapest, and also London. We had several beautiful gatherings. So it's been a happy, busy time of remembering the Lord, the divine, in the company of beautiful souls and chanting beautiful prayers, taking wonderful, blessed food. And now I'm back here to the Seeking the Essence podcast. I want to share with you a recording of a talk that I had here in Hungary a couple of days ago on the appearance day of Lord Krishna Janmashtami, we call it. And mostly discussing the sweetness, the charm, the beauty of the Krishna conception of divinity, and also the fact that ultimately variety, a dynamic spiritual reality is the only thing that can satisfy us. And I also go into some of the limitations of the impersonal lines of thought in regards to the final goal, what is the nature of the absolute reality that we are all approaching. So I hope you all get something from this. Thanks for tuning in. All the best. And it is a very, very joyful day, a very happy day. We are celebrating the personality of Godhead. It is such a wonderful thing, that we are told, right? Srimad Bhagavatam tells us, the scriptures tell us, the Vaishnavas, the saints, the gurus tell us, God is a person and you can have a relationship with him. Szentírások, a szentek közölnek velünk, hogy Isten egy személy, akit There was one occasion in our mat, in our temple in Navadvip, when there were some disciples of Swami Maharaj Prabhupada there, some Western disciples, and some of the Westerners were invited to say something. It was some type of program that was going on. Navadvipi templomban egyszer ott voltak Prabhupádnak a nyugati tanítványai, akik valamelyik programon fellettek kérve, hogy mondjanak pár szót. And I believe Srila Sridhar Maharaj was there, and Swami Maharaj Prabhupada and Gurudev, they were all there, and also some, many Bengali devotees, and also some Westerners were there too. Sridhar Maharaj, Gurudev, Prabhupada is ott volt, több hívő is. And then some of the Westerners were invited to say something. And we heard this from, I think Srila Sridhar Maharaj, he mentioned it, that there was one lady there, I think an American lady, she was invited to say something, and she said, what I like the most about Krishna consciousness is the idea that we can have a family life with God. Sidor már említett, hogy egy amerikai hölgy mondta, hogy a legjobban azt tetszik neki a Krishna tudatban, hogy családi életünk, egy családot alkotott, családi életet élhetünk Istennel. This is what attracts me the most, and this idea, we can have a family life with God. Such a beautiful thing, such a sweet thing. Ez a szemlélet tetszik a legjobban, annyira édes, vonzó. Not that God is somebody very far away, or somebody a little frightening, nem egy távoli, félelmetes figura Isten. But some like our children, our beloved children, or husband or wife, or friend or lover. In the same way, we have this kind of intimacy with around us and the people we know. Imagine having that relationship with God. What a wonderful thing.
Tehát, mint hogyha olyan Isten, mint hogyha gyerekünk lenne, testvérünk, házastársunk, olyan közeli hozzátartozónk, ilyen kapcsolatban léphetünk vele, és ez egy csodálatos dolog.
There's one beautiful quote of Srila Sridhar Maharaj where he says that we made on some new flyers, the innermost hankering of every soul is for beauty, love, charm, not for power, for knowledge, or anything else. The innermost hankering, innermost desire of every soul is for... Sorry.
Sridhar Maharajnak van egy ilyen mondata, hogy a legfelsőbb vágya a léleknek az nem micsoda.
Not for power, for knowledge, or anything else.
Nem hatalom, tudás vagy más, hanem élesség, a közel viszony kialakítása.
In this world, because we are not living in our pure state, then we become attracted, right, by different ideals of this world. You know? For these things, power, knowledge, money, control, these things, they pull us in different ways, right? Time to time.
Nem tisztultunk még meg ezért a világ dolgai, a tudás, a hatalom, a pénz vonz minket el, a figyelmünket eltereli.
But really, these things do not satisfy us. They all have a lifespan,
De ezek hosszú távon nem elégítenek minket, ennek van egy ideig, óráig.
And none of them holds an absolute position, right?
Egyiknek sincs abszolút hatalma.
Not everybody wants money, not everybody wants power, right?
Nem mindenkit vonz a pénz, nem mindenkit vonz a hatalom.
Not everybody wants fame, popularity, all these things.
Nem mindenki vágyik hírnévre, népszerűségre.
But nobody can say they don't want love, right?
De azt senki nem mondhatja, hogy nem vágyik a szeretetre.
Nobody can say they don't want sweetness, they don't want joy, these things. Intimacy, affection, beauty. Nobody can say they don't. If they say, then there's something very wrong with them. Be a very strange person.
Senki nem mondhatja, hogy nem vágyik a szépségre, örömre, boldogságra. Vagy ha mégis ezt mondja, hogy ez nagyon furcsa személy.
Srila Sridhar Maharaj, he quoted one line, and maybe it's from Shakespeare, saying that if somebody's heart does not melt when they hear beautiful poetry, then he says, then they could commit murder. Like your heart should be touched. If you hear something beautiful, then your heart should be touched. If not, then you could be a murderer. There's something wrong with you.
Hogy talán Shakespeare-től származik az idézet, hogyha egy szép vers nem érinti meg a szívedet, akkor egy gyilkos is lehet,
So the normal, wholesome heart, is attracted to these things. And in the Krishna conception of divinity, in the ideal of Krishna consciousness, this desire within our heart finds full fulfillment, full satisfaction, full realization.
És a Krishna tudatnak az Isten képében ezek a vágyaink teljes kielégítést nyerhetnek.
Where it is in the Krishna conception of God that the finite soul is able to connect with the infinite in the closest way, in the most intimate way.
Krishna alkotott képében vagy kapcsolatában a véges lélek a végtelennel ilyen intim kapcsolatot tud kiépíteni.
In a way that almost doesn't make sense, right? Like how is it possible that tiny, insignificant beings could have this kind of opportunity? It almost doesn't make. It's almost hard to believe, right? Such a thing is possible.
Olyan módon, olyan kapcsolatot, ami hihetetlen elképzelhetetlen, hogy egy icipici véges lélek hogyan tud ilyen finom kapcsolatot teremteni Istennel.
There was one gentleman who was hearing about Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's gift from Srila Sridhar Maharaj at one time, and Srila Sridhar Maharaj was discussing how Mahaprabhu is spreading this gift of divine love to everyone, to one and all, with no discrimination.
Egyszer egy új ember hallott a Sridhar Maharaj, hogy Chaitanya Mahaprabhu hogy milyen módon terjeszti a Isten szeretetét mindenki számára, mindenféle válogatás nélkül, megkülönböztetés nélkül.
And there was one gentleman, he said, how is this possible that Sri Chaitanya Dev, that he should give the highest things to the lowest people? How is this possible?
És az új ember nem értette, hogy ezt a legmagasabb szintű dolgot hogyan adhatja Chaitanya Mahaprabhu a hétköznapi legalacsonyabb szintű embernek is.
And Srila Sridhar Maharaj answered, should he give some stone chips? And he said, this is the only thing that he has. It's the only currency that he has. Like maybe some rich people, right? They only have big notes. They only have like they only have 20,000 forints, 50,000 forint notes, And they don't want to deal with small change, If they go to the shop, maybe they'll buy something that's only 5,000 forints, and they'll give them 50,000 forints. Oh, keep the change, This is how I operate, This is how I roll. I only have gold. I don't have silver or iron or anything else. I can only pay you in gold. And this is also the nature of mercy, right? Mercy, love. This is the nature of the highest plane of reality. These are the qualities of the highest persons. Mercy, love, affection. And through that link, this is the key, right? Through the link of love and affection, then then high, low, all these things, they don't matter anymore, right? Who is good, who is bad, who's superior, who's inferior, it doesn't matter anymore. Through the link of love and affection.
Ezen a kapcsolaton, a szeretet vonzódás kapcsolatán keresztül, hogy ez általán nem számít, hogy valaki alacsonyabb lenni, magasabb lenni, ez nem fontos.
Like the Cinderella story is very popular, right? The rich prince falls in love with a poor girl, right? Cinderella. Or maybe not in Hungary, I don't know. Maybe you have another version here. The same. And maybe the day before she was a very poor person, nobody knows her, struggling. But because the prince falls in love with her, then through love they are equal. Then she has everything, right? So in the same way, we are very tiny, finite souls, right? But if we can attract the love, the mercy, the grace of the Lord, who is the infinite, then we can have everything. These days I've been going through Brahma Samhita. This is one of our scriptures from a Samhita, and describing Krishna, Krishna's nature, Krishna's beauty.
Napokban olvastam a Samhitában Krishna természetéről, szépségéről.
And there's one verse there, Advaitam Achutam Anadim Ananta Rupam Adyam Purana Purusham Navayovanancha Vedeshu Dorlabam Adorlabam Atma Bhakto Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. It's saying, it's a very interesting contrast made in this verse, and it's describing Krishna as, who is the non-dual absolute truth, who is infallible, who is the origin of all, who has no origin, this great almighty being.
Szóval van egy érdekes ellenmondás, kettőségi megvesben, hogy Isten egyfelől a mindennek az oka, kettőség nélküli, hát a legfelsőbb személyiség.
He is the most ancient, original being, and at the same time, Navayo, he is eternally youthful.
Szóval ő a legősibb személyiség, és ugyanakkor pedig
and then Vedeshu Dorlabam, and it's very difficult to reach him through following the scriptures. It's very difficult to attain him. However, Adorlabam Atma Bhakto means, however, he is very easy to attain through love, through the heart. So, this great, almighty, infinite, powerful being, very far away, very distant, But if you just approach him with affection, then he's very easy to get.
Mindenható lény, aki távolinak is tűnhet, de szeretet segítségével mégis könnyen elérhető.
Just like in this world, right? We can imagine if there's some great powerful person you want to approach, normally it's very difficult, isn't it?
Hasonló, mint ebben a világban, ha van egy nagy hatalmú híres személy, azt nagyon nehéz megközelíteni.
There will be a whole hierarchy of persons that you have to get through to be able to meet them.
Sok lépcsőn keresztül, sok emberen keresztül lehetne jutni hozzá.
So there will be so many people blocking the way, right?
Sok ember zárja el az utat, hozzávezető utat.
And that person also won't be so sure, what is it that you want, everybody wants something from me, you also want something from me. But if somehow or other you can touch their heart, right, you can charm them, you can attract their mercy, their affection, then they will, what is theirs is yours, they'll give you everything.
De ha valahogy meg tudod, el tud bűvölni a szívüket, el tud nyerni szeretetüket, akkor megnyílhatnak.
So this is it's kind of like an open secret. Yeah. So the scriptures, the Vedas, they describe different aspects of God, of the divinity. And there is the impersonal, Brahman aspect. God who is appearing in this, what we understand to be Krishna's halo, his effulgence, right? It is a plane of consciousness, light. And this idea is actually very popular in the world. People are comfortable. They like this idea. And I think one reason for it is that because this world that we live in, it's a world of such complexity, right? Complexity and stress and anxiety.
Azt hiszem azért lehet ez, mert a világ annyira összetett és zaklatott, bonyolult.
And so the idea that you know, that God is this great white light and there's so much peace there, you know, can understand why it is attractive. No.
Hogy Isten egy nagy ragyogás, egy fényesség, egy békés tudatállapot.
This is why Buddhism is very popular. It is easy for people to identify with. It is very attractive. It is like an antithesis to the complexity, the struggle of this world that we live in.
Ez a buddhizmusnak is a célja, ezért olyan egyszerű a buddhizmusnak, szemben áll abszolút a világ bonyolultságával, nyűgésével, ez a csendes nyugodt dolog.
It's like a reaction to the suffering of this world, right?
Ez tulajdonképpen válasz a földi szenvedésre.
But ultimately, that becomes dry, right?
Végső soron ez egy száraz dolog.
It is like if you have a big feast and then you want to fast for a few days, then you get some enjoyment from fasting. But soon enough, you want to feast again, right?
Ez olyan, mint hogyha volt egy ünnepség, ahol sokat ettél, akkor utána lehet, hogy pár napig kokkalni, vagy böjtölni szeretnél, hogy kompenzáljuk a korábbi evéseket, de mégis utána ennek elmúlik a vonzereje. Igen, újra válik az ember.
And then we are also told of the conception of God as an almighty being, you know, the great Father, the almighty creator. And in the Vedic tradition, this is Vishnu, right? Lord Vishnu. And Lord Vishnu, he's a very impressive figure. You know, he has 4 arms. You know, we only have 2 arms.
Jó, meg a megjelenés hatásos személy 4 karja van eleve, tehát nekünk csak 2 van, ez már eleve.
He must be something special if he has 4 arms.
Látszik, hogy ez különleges, mégis csak 4 karja van.
Just like all these superheroes, right? Everybody likes, like, if somebody's special, they must have some special quality, right? Something different, something superhuman, right? They can fly, or they have 4 arms, or they have 5 heads, or something, you know? It must be something, right?
A szuperhőség a filmekben azért látszik, hogy menő dolgot biztos tud, hogyha 4 karja van, de
And Lord Vishnu doesn't have parents also. That makes sense, right? Of course, God doesn't have parents. He is the original being.
Vishnunak nincsenek szülei, ez teljesen érthető, végülis ő az eredeti lény, hős forrás.
And then we come to the idea of Krishna.
Akkor eljutunk Krishna.
And Krishna, he looks very ordinary.
Krishna elég hétköznapien néz.
No, he's a cowherd boy, for goodness sake. And he has parents, he has friends, he has girlfriends, many girlfriends. many girlfriends.
Vannak szülei, barátai, barátnői, sok barátnői,
So many people, they kind of scratch their head, like, how can you think this is the supreme entity? How is this possible? If you analyze according to conventional or stereotypical standards, then it doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make sense. So how is it that our gurus, our teachers in this line, they have said very clearly, Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. Krishna is the original Supreme Lord. How can they say such a thing? How is it possible?
Mégis a tanítómestereink teljesen egyértelműen fogalmaznak, hogy Krishna az Istenség legfelsőbb személyisége. Mégis hogy lehet azt, hogy ők tették?
Even so many great sages, it is mentioned in Bhagavatam, when Shukadev Goswami, when he is telling about the pastimes of Krishna to this big assembly of so many great, educated, intelligent, saintly scholars and sages, Shukadev is describing about Krishna Lila, and all of these great men, they're sitting there with their mouths open. How is this possible?
Sokadék Gószvámi az összegyűlt szentek, bölcseknek elmeséli ezeket a történeteknek, a történeteket Krishnáról, bölcseknek is leesik az állam, hogy hogyan lehetséges ez.
You're telling us that the Supreme, the Param Brahma, the Supreme Absolute Truth, he's a butter thief, and he's a womanizer. How is this possible?
Hogyan lehet, hogy az abszolút igazság megtestesítője az egy bajtól, egy nőcsábász?
So the answer is rasa, right? Rasa, divine feeling, sentiment, ecstasy, joy, taste.
Mi a rasa? Isteni íz, érzés, öröm.
Rasa is that taste in life that we are seeking.
Rasa az íz az életben, amit keresünk.
And so our gurus, they speak about the science of rasa. That this is how we can understand the gradation within divinity. Who gives us more rasa? Who gives us more joy, more ecstasy, more satisfaction of the heart?
És a guruink a rasa tudományáról, annak osztályozásáról beszélnek, hogy azt szerint mérjük fel a dolgokat, hogy ki milyen szintű, milyen típusú raszát, ízt tud adni nekünk.
Why? Because rasa is the common denominator, right? Rasa is what everybody is searching for.
Miért?
So it is the most valuable substance, most fundamental substance, a need.
Miért? Mert a rasa a közös nevező, mert mindenki ezt keresi, mindenki erre vágyik, ez az isteni ízre.
If somebody goes to climb a mountain, or they go to drink a cup of coffee, or to watch a horror movie or a romance movie, they're searching some particular type of rasa, some particular taste.
Valaki elmegy hegyet mászni, megint egy kávét, vagy megnézni egy horrorfilmet, vagy egy romantikus filmet, akkor mindig valahol rászállnak valami speciális részét, változatát keresi.
By nature, we are rasa seekers.
A természetünk az, hogy a rasszát is keressük.
So when we go to eat a meal, we're not satisfied with just one flavor, right, or one preparation. Only sweet or only salty or only sour. It would be difficult. It would be difficult to eat through that.
Mint ahogy az étkezésben sem elégít ki minket, hogy csak egyfajta íz világul az étkezés édes vagy sós.
And I read recently there's even some mechanism in the brain that you will feel full if you eat so much of the same flavor, the same taste, you feel full. Then if you have another flavor, another taste, you will feel more hunger again. So there's actually a science behind why there's always room for the chocolate cake. Right? It's like that. You eat a full meal, you feel full, then the cake, oh, I have space. That's actually like a chemical process that goes on in the brain.
Annyi is valami így működik, hogy ha egyfajta ízűt eszünk, akkor lehet, hogy úgy érezzük, hogy elteltünk vele, de mégis, ha másik ízűt nyövelnénk, akkor mégis valahogy még mindig jut el, hogy gyomrunkban egy újabb adat kötinek. Az is működik.
So not only are we seeking taste, but we like variety of taste.
Nem csak, hogy az ízre vágyunk, hanem változatosságra, többféle ízre.
We have a whole variety of relationships, right? And we enjoy each type of relationship between a mother and a child, a husband and a wife. You know, friends have one particular type of relationship. You know, lovers, and we enjoy a variety, right? All these things. When we go to work, right? There's a particular relationship you have with your coworkers, right? It's all different, and it's all very relishable. It's all enjoyable. It all adds to the complete, full experience.
Mint ahogy az emberi kapcsolatomban is a változatosság adja meg vagy a teljességérzését, hogy különböző emberi kapcsolatban vannak testvéreink, barátaink, házastársunk, kollégáink, mindezek hozzájárulnak ahhoz, hogy mindegyik szükséges ahhoz, hogy kapcsolatérzést megadjanak.
So this is the perspective of our gurus, of our divine teachers. You know, they're looking, what is really the essence of everything? This is the perspective. And then if we want to understand what is the gradation within divinity, then who can give us the most rasa? Because this is the most essential thing. So as I said, God appears as a great white light, it's consciousness, then our hearts will not be satisfied by that. It will be a little dry. It will be dry.
Szóval, hogyha Isten csak egy nagy fényességnek tekintjük, akkor az nem elég, nem tud minket kielégíteni, végsősorban száraznak, kevésnek tudjuk érezni. So the Vedas, they acknowledge that the divinity has this aspect, but it is not the ultimate. It is not the highest. It is not the final. It is one aspect of the divine. Védek elismerik, hogy van az Istenségnek ez a felfogás, hogy ez a szintje, ez a személytelen ragyogás, de ez nem az végső szint.
It is, this idea, everything is one, right? Some of the persons who worship this aspect of divinity, that is their idea, everything is one.
Ez azt jelenti, hogy minden egy. Mindenki egy, akik az Istenségnek ezt a aspektusát imádják, ők is ezt a elvet vallják.
But this is very unnatural to the human heart. It is a nice idea, but if you actually go to apply that and live by that, it doesn't make sense, and it is not joyful. It is not satisfying. It does not really move in harmony with our heart. That idea.
Ez egy kicsit természetellenes, hogy ez egy szép szemléletmód, de ha ez szerint élünk, akkor mégis azt tapasztaljuk, hogy nem elégíti ki a szívünk minden vágyát.
A few years ago, I stayed with one family in Spain for like a week or two, and they had a grandmother, was the mother of the father, I think, very old, like 80, 90 years old, and she had no teeth. And this family, they very Latin blood, they like to enjoy life, and they would make very fancy preparations, and we would always have lunch at like 4 p.m. and they'd make all these special dishes, and but the grandmother, she had no teeth.
Az nagymama 80-90 éves óta nem volt foga, ő mondja, családi déli latin hőmérsékletű család volt, mindent nagyon szerettek
So what did they? Oh,
Mire
sorry.
mindezt elkészítették már, ebédezni, délután 4 előtt nem nagyon volt kész.
So what did they do? And they blended everything up. Blended. So, so we would be sitting there eating all these very nice preparations, and she would be, it's all like a gray mush, you know? If you try that, you loses all the flavor. If you mix everything together like that, you lose all the flavor and all the color and everything.
Ott volt a sok finom étel egy masszával lett darálva, vagy szépesítve, és így elveszítette azért az ízét.
And I felt so bad, and sometimes she would sit next to me and she's having this like gray mush with some soft white bread, and I'm eating all these nice preparations. I felt so bad.
Nagymamának így szépesítve adták, de mert nem voltak hászúzai, és nem végének már azért rosszul esett, hogy rendesen elkészítve, de a finom ízeket a nagymama meg.
And I thought to myself, this is all the evidence I need to defeat the impersonal conceptions. Like, I don't need to read so many scriptures or quote so many verses. This is all the evidence I need.
Ez egy nagyon jó év. Csak ennyi bizonyítékra van szükség a személytelen felfogással szemben, amit az étkezésnél láthattam.
So by nature we need variety, we need dynamic movement and fullness of taste and experience. By nature, constitutionally, we cannot deny that.
A személytelen felfogás az olyan, mint összetépesített dolog, tehát az embernek szüksége van a változatosságra, az elégíti kiteljesítésben, hogyha különböző ízletet tapasztalhat.
And then if we consider this other conception of the divinity as a great almighty being, this is a more developed idea, because here God is a person who we can have a relationship with.
És ha tovább lépünk az Isten felfogásában, akkor eljutunk arra, hogy Isten egy mindenható teremtmény, ami egy előrelépéshez képest, mert akkor már egy személy, akit imádhatunk.
So this is very nice, very wonderful thing, but we cannot have the full satisfaction of the heart here.
Ez már egy jó dolog, de ez még mindig nem ad a szívnek teljes kielégülést.
Why? Because there's a little bit of fear. There's reverence, there's respect. If there's too much respect, you cannot express your heart.
Miért? Mert mindenható Istennel szemben van némi félelem, tisztelet, és hát ez meggátol abban, hogy teljesen kibontakozzon.
And there's also a restriction on how many relationships are available.
És azt is bekorlátozza, hogy hányféle, milyen módon, hányféle kapcsolatban lehetünk Istennel.
So, friendship is not really possible.
Nem nagyon barátság, sem nagyon létezik ebben a viszonyban.
The parental relationship is not possible.
Szülői viszony sem.
So there's some restriction. There's a check in the flow of the heart there.
Szóval van egy korlát, a szív áramlatában egy gát ezen a szinten.
Actually, in this world, we experience that we have these desires, right? We have feeling, we have feelings, we have urges, but they are misplaced, right? We don't always know where to put them, and sometimes people express them in the wrong way to the wrong people, right?
Vannak érzéseink, de nem jól fejezzük ki őket, vagy nem a megfelelő embernek mondunk, nem megfelelő dolgokat, mutatunk ki megfelelő dolgokat.
Because we don't have complete awareness of our spiritual nature and spiritual relationship with God, then these feelings, we express them in a limited world, right? To limited persons, in limited circumstances.
Dolgokat belevetíteni korlátozott
For example, one man in California, he's like 43 or something, and he said one thing he's struggling with now is that his mother, she still wants to see him as her young boy, like she has that maternal instinct and maternal desires, and she wants to treat him, like he's still 10 or 15 years old, living with her at home, and he's, I'm 43 years old, I'm a grown man, we need to change our relationship now.
Kaliforniában találkoztam egy ember, aki 43 évesen azzal küzd, hogy az anyukája még mindig gyerekként, 15 éves gyerekként próbálja kezdeni, de hát férfi, úgyhogy ez abban nincs probléma.
And I told him, oh, you have to tell her about Krishna. Because it's normal to have these kinds of feelings, right? But in this world, we're directing them in very limited ways, right?
Normális, hogy vágyik ennek az érzésnek a kifejezésére, de ebben a világban ez csak korlátozott, vagy limitált módon tudja megélni.
So this is something that is generally not discussed in religion, right?
Erről nem nagyon beszélnek a különböző vallásokban.
What do we do with all of these desires? Where will they go? Are they just meant to, you throw them in the washing machine, jumble them up into one mass, one great mass, or you're meant to kill them all, or what happens to them? How can you express them in the divine world, in your spiritual life, in your eternal life? How can you express these things?
Hogy mi lesz a vágyainkkal, hogyan fejezhetjük ki ezt Isten irányába? Egyszerűen csak bedobjuk a mosógépbe és tisztára mossuk őket, vagy elfolytjuk őket. A vágyainkat hogyan élhetjük meg Istennel kapcsolatban?
So in the teachings of Srimad Bhagavatam, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, all of these things are discussed in a very scientific way. The nature of divine relationship.
Védikus írásokban ezeket eléggé alaposan tudományos igényességgel járják körül, hogy hogyan lehet ezt kivontatni.
Everything which is hinted at or touched upon in a vague way, in a hazy way, is given in so much detail here.
Amit mások nagyon elnagyoltan, vagy csak vázlatosan említenek, itt elég részletesen van szó róla.
It is the sweetest of the sweet. And it is also scientific at the same time.
Ez irodalom, ez a legélesebb irodalom, és azon belül még nagyon alapos tudományos igényesség.
So we feel very blessed, that we have come to the outskirts of such great thought and such great ideal of life.
Nagyon áldottnak érezhetjük magunkat, hogy pillantást nyerhetünk ilyen jellegű írásokban.
And in our small way, we are trying to move towards that in a mood of service, dedication.
És elindulhatunk ebbe az irányba, odaadás, szolgálat segítségével.
All right, so you've reached the end of the latest Seeking the Essence podcast episode. I hope you got something from here. Hope you keep listening. Have a wonderful day. Hari Bol.